Hello, so I'm going to quickly just go over the first part of this question. This is it's trees in recursion, and it's question 1. So the first thing we've got is we have our tree there. Now, you've got to understand the tree, and that's fundamental to it. So we have our root node, which is our top node, and then we have our left subtree, which is that one there. Then we have our right subtree, which is that one there. And within each tree, you can break it down further. So if I look at 9, that is the left subtree of the right subtree, so forth. Okay. Right, so the root node is plus, that's for the whole tree. And then the leaf nodes are 4, 9, and 6 because they don't point to anybody else. Okay. Now the next thing is just trying to understand this array, which a lot of people struggle with. So you can see that A contains plus 4 times 9 and 6, which is the nodes themselves. And then we've got B and C. Now I've already written there left and right. So basically what that means is, if you go to B1, which is 2, who is 2 in the array A? Well, it's 4. And you can see that's the one to his left. Now if you look at C1, well, that is a 3. Who's 3? It's a star. So it's that star there. So what this is indicating, so we go to the star, and then we've got to the left, we've got 4, which is 9. To the right, we've got 5, which is 6. So that's where that comes from. So what can we say? Well, A stores the data, or is the node, and B stores the pointer to the left child node, and C stores the pointer to the right child node. Now, what does it mean? An entry is 0. It means that there's nothing to its left, or there's no left subtree. Right, so let's have a look at this question here. This is the recursive one. So I'm going to draw a stack for this one. And it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's been worse ones, put it that way. All right. So now we're going to start off. It says we're going to call it with traverse 1. That's the fundamental. If you don't read the question, you're never going to notice that. So I'm going to write little pods 1 is there, and I'll cross that out as we change it. So we come in here with pos is equal to 1. So I'm going to write a 1 there as well. I've got a stack over here, this in red here. So this is my line number and pos. Those are the two things I'm going to store. So the line number's in blue there, and the value of pos at that point. I've got my array over here so I can see what's going on. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is pos is equal to 1. So I say if B1 is greater than 0. So I just substitute 1 for pos. So if B1 is greater than 0, so I've got B1 is greater than 0, so we're going to call B again. Now before we do that, we need to store on the stack the line number of the next line. So that's 2. Imagine that's really the program counter. Okay, and the value of pos, which is 1 at the moment. Then we call B again with B1. So we just substitute in pos for 1, and B1 is 2. So we call it now with 2. So we're in here now with 2. So we'll put 2 there, and I can rub that out to show that that's it. So we start the function again. If B2 is greater than 0, let's have a look at B2. Well, B2 is 0. So it doesn't do that line. So we come down to the next line and say if C2 is greater than 0, well, C2 is also 0. So then we just output A2. Now we output A2, which is 4. So there's our output. So we get 1, 2, 4. We then end the procedure and pop the stack. Okay, so that puts pos back at 1 again, and we're on line 2. Okay, now let me just rub that out. So on line 2, where pos is equal to 1. So we just carry on as if nothing had happened. All right. Right, so if C1, now pos is back to 1 again here. So if C1 is greater than 0, well, C1 is greater than 0. So we're going to call the function again. Now, before we do that, we must push onto the stack. Now, in an exam, obviously you're not going to be able to rub this out as easily, but I might as well just for clarity here. So at that point, I'm going to put the line number, the next line, which is 3, and the value of pos is still 1. So that's what's going on to stack. So 3 and 1. And now I'm going to call it with C1. So C1 is 3. So my next call is 3. So, okay. Now, so I'm in here with 3. If B3 is greater than 0, let me just write that out. So if B3 is greater than 0, so let's look at B3. Well, B3 is 4. Okay. So we are going to call it again. So at that point there, I need to push onto the stack again. So I'm going to put the line number, which is currently 2, because my line I'm on at the moment is 1, so it's always one more. And the value of pos, which is 3. And now I'm going to call my function with B3. B3 is 4. So I'm going to call it now with 4. So I'm in here now with 4. Just going to rub those out. And then I'm going to say, right, if B4 is greater than 0, so let's look at B4, or B4 is 0, then it goes to the next line. If C4 is greater than 0, there is 0, so I output A4. Now A4 is 9, so I output a 9 there. That looks more like a 4, but I'm sure you're okay with that. We then end the function, or procedure, that's what it's called in this case, and pop the stack. So we're going to now go to line 2, so on the last line here, with pos equal to 3. Oh dear, that's bad writing. So it's 3 there. Okay. So I'm in here, back in here with 3 on line 2. Let's rub that out. So if C3 is greater than 0, let's have a look. C3 is 5. So we're going to call it again. So at that point, I'm going to push onto the stack. So let's just do that. So it's going to be line number 3 again. And the value of pos, which is 3. And then I call it with C3. C3 is 5. So I call it with 5. Okay. So I'm now in here with 5. Just going to rub these out. And we start again. So the top of the stack is obviously there at the moment, but I'll just rub that out because the top item will always be that way. So I'm in here with 5. So if B5 is greater than 0, no, you see C5 isn't either. So it just jumps down and outputs A5, which is 6. Yeah, they could have made it a little bit more confusing, but not much more. Right, so there we go. So we've now got 6. We then end the function, pop the stack. That goes to line 3, which is just the output line, and we back at pos is 3, and it's just output A3. A3 is a star. There we go. And then we end the function again and pop the stack again. So we back at pos is 1 again, and we output the value of A1 or A pos. A1 is a plus sign, and there we go. There it is, it's done. Right, it's 4 marks, pretty hard, but now what type of tree traversal does it carry out? Now you can see it's going left, right, visit. That is a post order traversal. Okay, and if you remember, it goes left, right, visit, left. I'll rub out, you bugger. Right, so we got visit, left, right, left, visit, right, left, right, visit. So that is pre, in, post. Well, what does the output of the procedure represent? It represents this reverse Polish or postfix or RPN. Reverse Polish notation. So it's, yeah, there we go. So I should say 4 plus 9 times 6. There we go. Okay, thank you very much. That's that one.